Here is a common problem many IELTS candidates have. They use the same words over and over again. As a result, they get a low band score. High-scoring candidates use a completely different approach. They know that they need to use synonyms to show the IELTS examiners that their English is advanced. Strategy makes all the difference. We've helped thousands of students prepare this way through our IELTS packages. They discover how strategic preparation can completely change their results. In this video, you'll learn 30 synonyms you must know to score high. By the end of this video, you will be equipped with a number of synonyms that you can use in your IELTS test. Let's dive in. The first word that appears constantly in IELTS is good. Everyone uses it. It's not wrong, it's just too simple for a high band score. When you mean that something has a positive effect, use beneficial instead. Here's an example. Exercise is good for your mental health. Now with the upgrade, exercise is beneficial for your mental health. Notice that beneficial is usually followed by for, just like good is in this sentence. So the swap is very easy to make. The second extremely common word is bad. It is the opposite of good, and it gets just as overused. When something causes harm or damage, use detrimental instead. For example, too much screen time is bad for children. Here is the upgraded version. Too much screen time is detrimental to children. Note that detrimental is followed by to, not for. This is different from bad, so be careful to get the grammar right. Word number 3 is big. Test takers use this for everything. Big problems, big differences, big changes. When you want to say that something is large in size or importance, try substantial. Here's a sentence. There is a big difference between the two groups. Now, with the synonym, there is a substantial difference between the two groups. This is a great word for writing task 1, where you compare data and describe differences between categories. The fourth common word is the opposite of big, and that is small. When a change or amount is not very large, use modest instead. For example, there was a small increase in sales in the second quarter. Here is the new version. There was a modest increase in sales in the second quarter. Modest sounds precise and measured. This is exactly the kind of language that scores well in IELTS writing. Word number 5 is one of the most overused verbs in the English language. Do. When you talk about completing a task or activity, especially something planned or formal, use carry out instead. Have a look at this sentence. Scientists do research to find solutions to these problems. Here is the improved version. Scientists carry out research to find solutions to these problems. This phrasal verb works really well in both writing tasks and makes your language sound more academic. Another extremely common word is get. It is one of the most informal verbs in English, and it shows up everywhere in IELTS answers. When you mean to obtain or gain something, use acquire instead. For example, it takes time to get new skills. Now with the synonym, it takes time to acquire new skills. This is an amazing word for topics involving education, technology, and personal development, which are common themes in the IELTS. Here is another commonly used word that you can easily upgrade. Want. Desire means the same thing. You wish for something or want to achieve it. Here's the basic version. Many young people want to move abroad for better opportunities. Now, the improved version. Many young people desire to move abroad for better opportunities. Desire sounds more formal. It is a great word for writing task 2 essays, especially when discussing motivations or social trends. Now, let's check out the next word. So many test takers used the verb need throughout their IELTS answers. You can replace it with require in most situations. Have a look. Children need a safe environment to develop well. Here is the new version. Children require a safe environment to develop well. Let's talk about the word think. Think is used constantly in IELTS speaking when candidates share opinions. The problem is it sounds very simple. A much stronger alternative is consider. When you consider something, you are thinking about it carefully before forming a view. For example, I think that remote working has many advantages. Now with the upgrade, I consider remote working to have many advantages. The next common word is know. It appears a lot when candidates refer to facts or shared understanding. Try replacing it with recognize when you mean that something is understood or accepted. Here's a sentence. Most people know that a healthy diet is important. Here is the improved version. Most people recognize that a healthy diet is important. Now, here is an important point. Many IELTS students think that if they know synonyms, that's enough to achieve a high band score. But it is not enough. To score high on the IELTS, you must know what the examiners are looking for. For example, you need to use advanced grammar correctly and understand what makes a high-scoring answer. That is exactly what we teach in our IELTS packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to produce high-scoring answers, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how IELTS examiners assess their performance and what they need to do to meet all the criteria. Our IELTS packages include lessons for all tasks, high-scoring sample answers, practice tests, and much more. If you're serious about achieving the IELTS score you need, click the link below to learn more. Now, let's continue with another common word, help. It is a perfectly fine word, but using it again and again makes your vocabulary look limited. A great alternative is assist. It means the same thing. You are supporting someone or making something easier for them. For example, technology can help students learn more efficiently. Now with the upgrade, technology can assist students in learning more efficiently. Notice that assist is often followed by the noun and then in before a verb. That's a small grammar point worth keeping in mind. Let's look at show. This is really common in writing task 1, where candidates describe what a graph or chart is presenting. Demonstrate is a stronger and more formal alternative. For example, the graph shows a steady rise in renewable energy use. Now with the paraphrase, the graph demonstrates a steady rise in renewable energy use. Using demonstrate instead of show immediately gives your writing a more academic feel. The next common word is make. Test takers use it for almost everything, which is why it gets overused. Try replacing it with generate when you are talking about producing or creating something, especially an effect, outcome, or resource. For example, solar panels make clean energy. Here is the upgraded version. Solar panels generate clean energy. This is a particularly useful word for environmental and technology topics, which come up regularly in IELTS writing. Word number 14 is use. This is another one that appears everywhere in IELTS answers. Swap it out for utilize when talking about making use of a resource or opportunity. Here's a sentence. Students should use a range of vocabulary in their writing. Now, look at this. Students should utilize a range of vocabulary in their writing. This is a great word for both IELTS writing and speaking, and it is easy to remember because it comes from the same root as useful. Here is another word that comes up a lot. Find. It is used when you discover or notice something. A more academic alternative is identify. It means to find something and recognize what it is. For example, researchers are trying to find the main causes of obesity. Here is the sentence with the synonym. Researchers are trying to identify the main causes of obesity. Word number 16 is the phrasal verb look at. It is informal and it tends to appear when candidates introduce evidence or data. Replace it with examine for a much more academic effect. For example, let's look at the reasons why pollution has increased. Here is the new version. Let's examine the reasons why pollution has increased. Another extremely common phrase is talk about. It is very conversational and sounds weak in academic writing. A stronger alternative is explore. It means to look at something in detail and from different angles. For example, in this essay, I will talk about the effects of urbanization. The improved version. In this essay, I will explore the effects of urbanization. Here is another commonly used verb, say. Test takers use it whenever they refer to what someone has said or written. A more formal alternative is state. It means to say something clearly and directly. For example, many experts say that climate change is the biggest challenge of our time. Now with the upgrade, many experts state that climate change is the biggest challenge of our time. State works especially well in IELTS writing task 2, when you refer to facts, research, or expert opinions. Next up is problem. This is one of the most overused nouns in IELTS writing task 2. A more sophisticated alternative is challenge. It refers to a difficulty that requires effort to overcome. For example, air pollution is a serious problem in many cities. Here is the upgraded sentence. Air pollution is a serious challenge facing many cities. Notice that challenge often goes with the word facing. This is a natural and common collocation. Word number 20 is important. This is one of the most overused adjectives across all IELTS tasks. Replace it with crucial when something is not just important, but absolutely essential. For example, it is important to protect natural habitats. Now, with the stronger word, it is crucial to protect natural habitats. This word sends a clear message to the examiner that you understand the seriousness of an issue, and it shows off your vocabulary range at the same time. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 10 more synonyms that can help you score high on the IELTS. The next common word is right. When you are talking about what is suitable or fitting for a particular situation, use appropriate instead. For example, students should choose the right vocabulary for each task. Here is the more academic version. Students should choose the appropriate vocabulary for each task. This word comes up a lot in IELTS speaking and writing when you discuss what solutions or behaviors are suitable in different contexts. Of course, the opposite of appropriate is inappropriate. This is a great word to use instead of wrong when something is not suitable. For example, using informal language in an academic essay is wrong. Here is the improved version. Using informal language in an academic essay is inappropriate. These two words, appropriate and inappropriate, are a powerful pair. Learn them together so you have natural sounding alternative ready. Here is a phrase that test takers rely on constantly. A lot of. It is informal and gives very little information. Try a wealth of instead. It means a large amount of something valuable. For example, there is a lot of evidence to support this view. Here is the upgraded sentence. There is a wealth of evidence to support this view. This phrase works particularly well in the writing test when you refer to research, data, or experience. It sounds both formal and confident. Another common word that appears a lot is hard. It is often used to describe something that is difficult or requires a lot of effort. A more precise alternative is demanding. It means that something takes a lot of time, energy, or skill. For example, university life can be very hard for international students. Here is the sentence with the synonym. University life can be extremely demanding for international students. This is a great word for any IELTS topic involving education, work, or personal development. Now, let's talk about the phrase deal with. It is commonly used when discussing solutions to problems. A much stronger verb is tackle. It means to take action against a problem directly and with determination. For example, governments need to deal with the issue of rising unemployment. Now, check out the new version. Governments need to tackle the issue of rising unemployment. Tackle is energetic and purposeful, and it works brilliantly in both IELTS writing and speaking. The next word is one that is used a great deal when describing graphs and data. Go up. It is quite informal for academic writing. Replace it with rise. And if you want an even stronger word for a sudden jump, use surge. For example, the number of online shoppers went up sharply in 2020. Here is the improved version. The number of online shoppers rose sharply in 2020. Or, for a dramatic increase, the number of online shoppers surged in 2020. Rise and surge are both essential words for writing task 1. The opposite of go up is go down, and this is equally informal. Replace it with drop for a quick, clean swap. For example, temperatures went down significantly in December. Let's see the new version. Temperatures dropped significantly in December. This alternative is really useful for task 1. Here is another common expression that sounds too conversational in writing. Stay the same. A much better phrase is remain stable. It means the value or situation did not change significantly. For example, the unemployment rate stayed the same for most of the decade. Now with the alternative word, the unemployment rate remained stable for most of the decade. This phrase is extremely useful in writing task 1 when a line or bar does not move much. The next word is cause. This gets used constantly in writing task 2 when discussing problems or effects. Try replacing it with trigger sometimes. It means to cause something to happen, especially something that has been building up over time. Here's the basic sentence. Stress can cause serious health problems. The new version, stress can trigger serious health problems. Trigger is especially effective when describing how one event leads to another, which is a very common pattern in IELTS essays. Word number 30 is the phrase because of. This is a very common phrase for giving reasons, but there is a more formal option. That option is due to. It has exactly the same meaning, but fits better in academic writing. For example, many people move to cities because of better job opportunities. Here is the more formal version. Many people move to cities due to better job opportunities. This is a very simple swap that immediately makes your writing sound more polished. That's it. Those are 30 synonyms that are crucial for the IELTS test. If you're serious about achieving the IELTS score you need, check out our IELTS packages using the link below. We provide step-by-step guidance, templates, practice tests, and everything you need to feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their IELTS score too. See you in the next video!